What's up, guys, and welcome to Down the Wire. Before I get into today's video, I just want to thank you guys for all the support in my last video, and I want to let you guys know that I'm going to continue working to get videos out as soon as possible. Now back to the video. This free agency should be retitled The Year of the Underdog, because the teams that lived in the shadow of their older brother teams in their own state have finally stepped out of their shadow to become true contenders. These teams I'm talking about are obviously the Nets and the Clippers. The Nets acquired Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Jordan, all taking under the max, and the Clippers just acquired Kawhi Leonard, the Finals MVP, along with Paul George in exchange for a record amount of acquisitions heading to Oklahoma City. Along with this being the year of the underdog, like I believe it is, this is also the year we can officially say once and for all that team legacy has died, or that team legacy means nothing. The top three free agents in this offseason all chose to go to the little brother of more famous NBA teams. And not only more famous, but some of the most famous teams in the country, period, regardless of sports. The Lakers, synonymous with championships, synonymous with all-time greats. The Knicks, through all their struggles in recent years, are still a New York staple. Madison Square Garden, the Big Apple, they are a staple of the league. And yet, the top three free agents, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and Kyrie Irving, all decided to go to the younger brother. Kevin Durant chose the Nets over the Knicks. Kyrie Irving chose the Nets over the Lakers and Knicks. And last but not least, Kawhi Leonard chose the Clippers over the Lakers. With the Lakers, Kawhi would have been part of undoubtedly the greatest big three in the history of the NBA. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Kawhi Leonard. Would they win the championship? I don't know, and that's only because of their bench. Sacrificing as much money as it would take to acquire Kawhi Leonard would leave their bench extremely weak, and if God forbid an injury occurred in the finals, we'd be looking at a repeat of this year's series with the Warriors versus the Raptors, where the more talented and favored team would fall due to injuries and a bench not being able to fill in those spots lost due to injury. And despite the possibility of joining the Lakers and becoming easily Vegas's betting bet to win the finals, Kawhi Leonard decided to go to the Clippers. And even more shockingly than that, Kawhi Leonard chose to go to the Clippers and brought along Paul George, a six-time All-Star and this year's third-place MVP candidate. Kawhi Leonard, in 1 week, recruited Paul George to join him and demand a trade from Oklahoma City and join Kawhi Leonard with the Clippers. What makes this even more shocking is that Paul George last year had the option to go to LA, whether it be the Lakers or Clippers, and yet he chose to sign a deal with the Thunder. He decided to re-sign. And Kawhi Leonard, in the span of a week, had somebody who just signed a long-term deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder request a trade. It's like the Deion Sanders 40, where it's just something you can't wrap your head around. And yet, Kawhi Leonard has that influence. For a superstar that's as quiet as he is, as odd as he is, he has, and I believe, the second most influence in the league besides LeBron James. The amount of publicity following this, coming up before this decision, the Kawhi watch, watching planes take off. It was a replay of LeBron's decision to go to Miami. It was a publicity buzz everywhere. And in Kawhi Leonard fashion, when half of NBA fans are asleep, he makes his decision. Now that I've expressed my utter shock of this move, let's get back to the topic. One of the reasons I believe that these 3 free agents decided to sign with these younger brother teams is due to the front offices. All of these younger brother teams have better front offices than the older brother teams. And why is that? Well, because I believe it's for this reason. Because earlier in NBA history, for the past many, many years, since they've lived in the shadow of their older brother, they weren't able to attract free agents. And because of that, they had to rebuild in different ways. And how they did that was by building a strong front office. Clippers, Doc Rivers, head coach. A great record of 894 wins to 658 losses, an NBA championship, and a great playing career. And then they have the logo Jerry West as their special consultant. The Nets, Sean Marks, the job he has done rebuilding the Brooklyn Nets franchise after the worst trade in NBA history makes the rebuild of the Nets, in my opinion, the greatest rebuild in the history of American sports. And I'm going to put this above the current rebuild of the Browns. Why? Because the Browns had their own picks. The Browns screwed up their own picks by themselves. The Nets screwed up their picks because they didn't have them in the first place. And yet, Sean Marks and the boys in the Nets front office put together a winning roster and made the playoffs this year. Kenny Atkinson has increased his win total for the Brooklyn Nets every single year. And then let's look at the other teams. Let's look at the Lakers. Rob Pelinka is their GM. Is there anything I need to say anymore after the Magic Johnson interview? Is there anything I need to say? When Magic Johnson, one of the most beloved people in the league, not just former players, not just president of basketball operations, no, one of the most beloved people in the league, doesn't like you, has been warned by other people not to trust you, and yet he still gives you a chance and you still mess it up? The man is a habitual liar. The story of him asking Kobe Bryant, who he worked with for 18 years, to set him up with a dinner with Heath Ledger after the release of The Dark Knight is absolute fabrication. Heath Ledger sadly passed away before the release of The Dark Knight movie. And yet somehow, Rob Pelinka said that he had dinner with him after the release because he wanted to have the mentality that Heath Ledger had getting into the role for the Joker. If you don't know, Heath Ledger's performance of the Joker, if you haven't seen the movie, I recommend it completely, is outstanding, and in order to get into that role, Heath Ledger did method acting to the finest. He locked himself in hotel rooms for long periods of time, perfected mannerisms with the Joker, and Rob Pelinka admired that and wanted to get into that mentality for basketball. How that would apply, I have no idea. And so he asked Kobe to set him up with a dinner, which apparently happened, is what he's saying, and he had dinner with Heath Ledger. It's impossible. It's just impossible. Unless Rob Pelinka is capable of performing miracles, in which case I would implore him to take his talents to New York and replace either James Dolan or David Gettleman, then there is no way this meeting occurred. But that's just their GM, so let's give him the reason of the doubt. Let's go to their coach, Frank Vogel. What has he proven? Ever since he left the Pacers, his win totals have trended downwards. And yet the Lakers decided to give him a chance. The Lakers were hoping for Doc Rivers, hoping for Tyronn Lue. But once again, their front office and Jeannie Buss and Kurt Rambis for some reason, and Linda Rambis for some reason, I don't know why, put an end to that. And now they have to settle with Frank Vogel. So if you think that any of these top 3 free agents will go to a team with an unproven coach, a GM that's a habitual liar, proven, and disliked by Magic Johnson, with ownership with Jeannie Buss that doesn't know what they're doing and is listening to Kurt and Linda Rambis for some reason unforeseen by me, I must just be incompetent. If you think that they would go to any of that team, any of them would go to that team? You must be legally insane. But let's look at the Knicks. And this is even worse. This is so much worse. It's just one name I need to say. It's just one name. James Dolan. That name strikes terror. Terror into any native New Yorker or New Jerseyan who likes the Knicks. This moron is the black cat of their organization. He messes up every single thing. He is, I heard a comedian say this once, and it stuck with me. He's an incompetent Bruce Wayne. He's an incompetent Bruce Wayne. He's the epitome of the saying born with a silver spoon in your mouth. The epitome. And he still finds a way to mess it up. Oh, it hurts me. It hurts my brain. I'm a Nets fan. Nothing pleases me more than watching Philadelphia Eagles fans suffer and watching Knicks fans suffer. But this is absurd. He kicks out fans for saying sell the team. How petty is that? Get over yourself. You've run this franchise into the ground. And you want to sit on your high horse saying that you're and think that you're better than anybody. Selling the team should have been done years ago. God bless that guy. God bless that fan that said that. Because he said what every Knicks fan in their right mind believes. Reports coming out saying the Knicks were not willing to give Kevin Durant a max contract. You must be out of your mind. Kevin Durant at 75% is the best player your organization has ever had. Period. Period, point blank. Better than any player you have ever had. Ewing, don't care. Willis Reed, don't care. Bernard King, don't care. 75% still better than all of them. And then you didn't give Kawhi Leonard a meeting in fear of losing out on other free agents? What other free agents? You are at the point where if you could just acquire people, you'd be able to make a run. You would, And don't even get me started on the idiocracy that was the Kristaps Porzingis trade. All of my friends that are Knicks fans, I'm sorry for living that terrible existence, we're saying this is a great move. We're going to have the cap space to sign Kevin Durant, sign Kyrie Irving, and we're going to get Zion Williamson. And I laughed at them. I knew this would happen. The idea that you would trade away the one guy that had the potential to recruit any of these free agents, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, with his talent, had the potential to recruit him, you trade him away? That in itself is a red flag. And now, you traded him away for cap space. You want to know what you use that cap space for? Taj Gibson, Bobby Portis. It's Julius Randle. It's a joke. It's such a joke. And now every NBA fan in New York that's not a Brooklyn Nets fan is on suicide watch. This is the equivalent of handing an NBA My League to a 3-year-old and telling him to go at it. It's an embarrassment. I feel so sorry for these Knicks fans. Even though it's hilarious to watch, I'm not going to deny that. I mean, Stephen A. Smith is crying at this point. Oh my Jesus. I can't comprehend the incompetence. I really can't, and I'm trying. How do you not have people around you telling you this is idiotic, to say the least? How many yes men do you have in your circle? I'm sorry if I'm screaming. I'm sorry if I'm passionate. It's just idiocracy in positions of power. Idiocracy in the positions where you're making billions of dollars. It gets my engine revving more than anything. It's just an embarrassment to me. And I can't help but imagine what any other person with an IQ over 33 would be able to do with this team. You are watching players Young players drafted the best day of their life, being put into a situation where they will know nothing but defeat and suffering. It's sad. It really is sad. And let's look at their coach, David Fizdale. What has he proven so far? He has potential to be a good coach, but we're not going to know because his roster is terrible. Terrible. But these free agents realize this. And because those teams had to adapt in different ways, built a strong front office. And that's reason one that I believe these players decided to go to the younger brother free agent destinations. Reason number two is that I believe that for two of these free agents, Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, the team that they signed with, the Brooklyn Nets, means something to them. For Kyrie Irving, it means playing in his hometown, playing for the team he grew up rooting for. And for Kevin Durant, it means a fresh start. For Kevin Durant, it means a chance to rid himself of the snake narrative. A narrative that has followed him ever since he left Oklahoma in search of rings in the West. And can I guess the reasoning that Kawhi Leonard chose the Clippers over the Lakers and Toronto? No. He, like I said earlier, he is the oddest NBA player I've ever seen. The only people that know what's going on in his mind are himself and God. Those are the only two people. If I was to guess why, part of it I think would want him to be coming home. He's from LA. So is Paul George. That would probably be my number one reason. A lot like Kyrie Irving's decision. And that the front office was very appealing to him, like I mentioned before. But those are the only two reasons I can see. Now, if you want to say that playing with the Clippers has the potential to eclipse the Lakers, which is the whole topic really of the video, and that he can surpass LeBron James legacy-wise if he gets multiple championships there, that's a feasible argument. That's a reasonable argument. But we have to wait and see. There's no clear-cut reason for him. Or not as clear-cut as Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Now that I've got my reasoning for why these top three free agents decided to go to the smaller teams than the larger, more famous ones, let's talk about what repercussions this might have for the league in the future. I believe that we're going to slowly see a trend where players don't look for the more famous teams and instead look for the teams that suit their game more in places where they can acquire hardware, where they can win rings. We've already seen teams in the small market, like Milwaukee, simply draft smart. They didn't trade for Giannis. They didn't acquire him in free agency. They simply drafted the kid from Greece. And what has that done for them? Right now, they're certainly contenders, and they might be the favorites to come out of the East next season. Utah. The Utah Jazz selected Donovan Mitchell, an amazing draft choice. They also have one of the best defenders in the league with Rudy Gobert, and just acquired Mike Conley. These small market teams that we once saw as insignificant recently, because Utah and Milwaukee have both had amazing players, John Stockton, Karl Malone, and then Milwaukee had Oscar Robertson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But they faded into obscurity. And now, it's quite possible that these teams will become free agent destinations. Memphis has a great young player in Jaren Jackson Jr. I would not be surprised if in the next free agency cycle, or the one after that, do we see a big name free agent go to Memphis. So these teams, these smaller market teams, are also going to gain from the decision of free agents to not go to the more famous teams, but instead go to the teams that fit them. This is going to carry on to the small market. NBA GMs and owners of small market teams should be looking at the decisions of Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Kawhi Leonard as an opportunity for them to make their mark on the league. But let's not kid ourselves. These big teams, the Lakers, Boston, 76ers, all these teams that have always been famous in the league, they're always going to be good. But what we're seeing now, this trend of players of high caliber, going to the teams that fit them rather than the ones that are more famous and have been flashy in past years, might change that. But all we can do is wait and see. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment down below.